Industrial activity.
Agricultural activities.
Waste disposal.
Urbanization and construction.
Accidental oil spills.
These are the main causes of terrestrial pollution and contamination.
When many of us think of pollution, images of smoggy cities and litter-infested oceans come to mind. In the 21st century, there isn't a single surface or space on Earth that hasn't in some way been impacted by it.
According to environmental pollution centers, terrestrial pollution is the presence of toxic chemicals like pollutants or contaminants in soil in high enough concentration to pose a risk to human health and or to the ecosystem.
The main reason why the soil becomes contaminated is due to the presence of man-made waste. The waste produced from nature itself, such as dead plants, carcasses of animals, and rotten fruits or vegetables, only adds up to the fertility of the soil. However, our waste products are full of chemicals that are not originally found in nature and led to terrestrial pollution.
Industrial activity. Industrial activity has been the biggest contributor to the problem in the last century, especially since the amount of mining and manufacturing has increased. Most industries are dependent on extracting minerals from the earth, whether it is iron ore or coal. The byproducts are contaminated and they are not disposed of in a manner that cannot be considered safe. As a result, the industrial waste lingers in the soil surface for a long time and makes it unsuitable for use. Agricultural activities. The utilization of chemicals has gone up tremendously since technology provided us with modern pesticides and fertilizers. They are full of chemicals that are not produced in nature and cannot be broken down by it. As a result, they seep into the ground after they mix with water and slowly reduce the fertility of the soil. Other chemicals damage the composition of the soil and make it easier to erode by water and air. Plants absorb many of these pesticides, and when they decompose, they cause soil pollution since they become a part of the land.
So number three is waste disposal. A growing cause for concern is how we dispose of our waste. While industrial waste is sure to cause contamination, there is another way in which we are adding to the pollution. Every human produces a certain amount of personal waste products by way of urine and feces. While much of it moves into the sewer system, there is also a large amount that is dumped directly into landfills in the form of diapers. So even the sewer system ends at the landfill, where the biological waste pollutes the soil and water. This is because our bodies are full of toxins and chemicals which are now seeping into the land and causing pollution of soil. Number four is urbanization and construction. While urbanization is not itself littering, large quantities of people living, producing trash, and littering in a dense area does inevitably lead to land pollution. To accommodate this increased population, construction waste also occur, which result in large waste materials such as plastics, metal, woods, and bricks. When these materials are not properly disposed of, it contributes to the large land pollution of that area.
Accidental oil spills. Oil leaks can happen during the storage and transport of chemicals. This can be seen at most of the fuel stations. The chemical present in the fuel deteriorates the quality of soil and make them unsuitable for cultivation. These chemicals can now enter into the groundwater through the soil and make the water undrinkable.
In the recent decades, the wildlife animals have tremendously suffered as they have persistently faced a serious threat regarding the loss of their natural habitat and environment. The continued human economic activities on land have progressively left the lands degraded and polluted, forcing the wildlife to move further away and adapt to new areas. Consequently, some species have died trying to adapt, some have gone extinct, and several are on the verge of extinction. There are a number of reasons for this, and first of all is the use of pesticides in the agricultural industry. Pesticides do not just kill pests, they affect other animals too. Insecticides and rodenticides are the main pesticides dangerous to birds. Waterfowl and some game birds which feed on agricultural foliage are a potential risk of exposure. Passerines may feed on pesticide-treated seeds. Birds in an agricultural habitat that prey on insect or scavenge animals that may have been poisoned are at particular risk. These substances may be legal or can cause reduced movement, increased vulnerability to predation, and or affect orientation during migration. Several of the insecticides of high risk to birds, such as carbuforin, have been removed from the agricultural market in many countries. Others have seen their use restricted, often because of concerns over human health. Recent analysis from the United States indicate that the use of insecticides are acutely toxic to birds that may have been the most important factor explaining the farmland bird declines over the last decades.
Littering killing wildlife. Littering causes the deaths of many wild animals. Toxic trash can be fatal. Entanglement in litter is a common threat. Tons of plastic litter find its way to the oceans, washed off streets and blown from landfills. Animals often mistake litter for food and attempt to eat the litter, resulting in fatalities. Litter accumulates in giant patches. Some is transported by currents and washed onto the shore, and trillions of other pieces of decomposing plastic create gigantic swirling garbage patches in the ocean. Extinction of species. As land pollution and soil erosion progress, animals are forced to shift habitats and adapt to new conditions. As a result, some species are at risk of extinction. Roughly 600 species are at risk of extinction, and 48 of these are in the US alone. In tropical countries, when insect species go extinct, many higher species will disappear at the same time. Some of the endangered species or insects are varieties of beetles, moths, butterflies, and flies. Plant-eating insects perish when the plants they feed on die off in large numbers. Some of the disappearing plants are baobab tree in Africa and India, monkey puzzle tree native to Chile, dragon tree in Africa, bois dintel, a small plant in Mauritius, and cork tree.
Number 1. Contamination of groundwater, loss of topsoil, water nutrient enrichment, and increased risk of wildfires are among the consequences of the land pollution. All of this is because of the dry conditions created by the pollutants in the soil. So the second one is the discharge of chemicals on land makes it dangerous for ecosystem. Toxic chemicals, organic and inorganic contaminants enter the organisms through absorption by skin or ingestion of polluted food. Animals higher in the food chain accumulate these toxins in higher and higher concentrations. This is called biomagnification. When the higher level predations have higher level toxins, they are likely to suffer the diseases, birth defects, genetic mutations, and other deleterious effects.
Climate change, which causes an onslaught of disastrous problems including flash floods and irregular rainfalls. Climate change can alter where species live, how they interact, and the timing of biological events, which could fundamentally transform current ecosystem and food webs. Climate change can overwhelm the capacity of ecosystems to mitigate extreme events and disturbance, such as wildfires, floods, and drought.